Hey, hello, people. All right, let me make sure that I am live right here. I have to make sure that this is paused, but I can see your comments. I hope you are here with me. Tell your friends that I am live. I'm a little late because, to be completely honest, it was beautiful, or it is beautiful outside. So I decided I was not going to cook breakfast this morning. I was going to run out really quickly, and really quickly to get breakfast for me and my son turned into a whole hour and a half. Um, my son loves McDonald's. Yes, I am completely holistic. But there are certain things on certain menus, and we'll go over that another time. That's another conversation for a whole nother time, as far as learning how to maximize your holistic options, your healthy options at any restaurant, which can be done. And I can share my tips on how. All right. So I have come to you completely natural. I guess with the exception of my red hair, that's not natural. I wasn't born with. Yeah. Okay. So before I lose any of you from that corny ass joke, um, I'm just gonna run and get my coffee. I got some hazelnut coffee from Panera Bread for myself and a pecan braid. Let me know what you have for breakfast, folks. And please come on in. I'm gonna give some time here. Um, and we're going to get started. I can see your questions. I am ready to answer as many questions as I possibly can. Like I said, I will be doing this on a regular basis going forward because I was honestly kind of taking a back seat, and I was like, okay, I'm looking at videos because you can't help, especially if you're um, on social media at all. You can't help but to find in your feed post from Kevin Samuels, and oh my gosh, we're gonna go over Kev. I can't even say his name because my spirit is so concerned with what he views. The misperceptions are so disgusting, so so immeasurably disgusting that I just can't. Okay, but yeah, so we will go over Kevin Samuels. I'm gonna try to say it. And those are just the orbs. Did you see that orb? That's and again, hopefully I won't lose any of y'all because you're gonna be like, what in the world is going on with this girl? That's just being playful. You'll understand my humor as we go along. Yes, in some of my humor is a little bit of truth because I subscribe to life. I subscribe to love. And as a scientist on this side, as an academic scientist at the doctoral level, I am very careful as to not to signify that I know all and I understand all. And instead, I am at least open to new information and I put them in my mental files. That's very much how I would like to inspire you all as it relates to love, because there's been so many misconceptions, and the misconceptions have now become ingrained in culture. And so they are believed to be true, but they're not. They're just misconceptions. I mean, if you tell the same lie over and over again enough times, what happens? You're going to believe it. Okay, so let me go and get my coffee and warm up my pecan braid. And what do you want to say hello really quickly? Okay, very quickly. So my son just wants to say hello, and he's a cutie patootie. Yes. He gonna ask me online, can he get $10? Like that's gonna put me. You see the mockery.
You can take it out of my cash app.
Do you see this? All right, yeah, we're taking it out of your cash app. Responsibility. We're taking it out of. Leave that right there. Put it. You want the people to hear you get. Find your place in the world. Go find your place in the world. Thank you. All right, so yeah, well, give me a second. And then send it. Give me like 2 minutes. All right, so what I'm gonna do is and this is gonna be completely real. I am not I do not subscribe to put it on the front. You won't find it here. If that's what you're looking for, you might as well go somewhere else because I don't front. I don't code switch at all. I have worked in all of my fields and my personality has remained the exact same. And I have worked as a federal ranger with the National Park Service, Department of Interior, alongside Border Patrol. I have not ever code switched. And the irony is that the people I worked around, they had the very same professional, casual mindset as I did. So all this code switching in some of your environments, that we need to stop that too. And the only way it's going to stop is actually if not only, yes, we need to go and get their asses in order, the racist America in corporate America, because they act just as normal. It may not be the exact same slang and all that kind of stuff, but they act just as normal and casual as well outside of the office. Yes, there is a level of professionalism, but you should not have a white voice. You shouldn't have a white phone voice and then your casual black voice. Friends, so many misconceptions. We need to tear that shit down. Okay. And yes, I said shit on a Sunday. Okay. I still love you all, but you're going to have to give me some grace in some regards. This does not mean that I want to go out and shoot up people. You can still be a beautiful human and use curse words. That's another misconception. But nonetheless, let me go and get my, I'm going to get my coffee and warm up my pecan braid. That'll take about 30, 40 seconds. Okay, in air fryer, not microwave, friends. And then I will come back. And yes, this is my closet that I am sitting in. I'm just on my vanity chair so you can see what I'm doing here and get an idea of what's going on in the closet. I am almost done with the closet. Can you see that? Oh my God, can you see it? You see that orb of light? No, that's really just a damn light. That's just a light. Ah! It's just a light. But yeah, so this is where I'm at. Just sitting on my vanity chair. And yeah. So please tell your people to come on in. Bring them in. Bring them in. Bring them in from the fields of misconception. Hey, bring them in. Bring them in. Bring the little ones to Tigress. Bitch, I didn't know I could sing like that. Yeah. So even though I may not subscribe to hyper religion now, I was raised Southern Baptist. We'll have conversations on that as well. Lots of misconceptions. All right. So I really hope you're here with me. I see a couple of people have joined me. Tell your friends. Let me go get the coffee. And I wish I had like some interlude music, but we're just going to run it. And I'm going to give y'all a chance to get in and go ahead and please say hello. Hi to you all. Actually, I'm saying hello, but let me type hello as well. Hello there. Well, hello there. Okay. All right. Please say hello. Hi, how you doing? If you're here with me. Okay. And boom. That's how we living. I say no more than 2 minutes, and then I'm just gonna start. And I know it takes a little bit of time for you guys and ladies to warm up to newcomers, new YouTubers or whatever. So I will go ahead. Like I said, I promised on Twitter that I would give my reasons for being decidedly single right now. And then I promised that I would go over the young lady's posts and kind of that feed. And I'm using Zoom, so I'll be able to pull it up in real time and we can look at it and kind of go from there. So this should be a lot of fun. I'm going to be live until, because I started at 10:38. We're going to wrap up at 11:40. All right. So, ding, 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 ding. Boom, boom. Do your thing now. Okay, so I'm back. 2 minutes goes a very long way. All right, so I see y'all watching, but I don't see anybody saying hello. And that's okay, because we talked about this. We talked about the process. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start. That's good. So let me get my phone as well. All right, Asa, send me the request. Let me know if you have children out there. Okay, so I first shared that I was considering chiming in, I would say about a month ago, on love, that is. But the way that my scientific brain works is that I try not to speak on a matter unless I, have an understanding of the matter. You know what I mean? And, considering the fact that, taking care of my baby, he wants some Robux. Robux. But at least he's responsible. He's using his own money. Cash out. Cash out. All right, so that's done. And so I went on a journey around YouTube, and I said, well, let me look this up and figure out, what's going on and why are we seeing all these things? And then I saw some YouTubers who had, kind of given the side eye um, to weigh in on B. Simone, I believe it is, who is, I guess, like acting like she's got uh, some type of oomph to weigh in on love or whatever. And we all can weigh in on love. You know what I mean? It may not be accurate ass information, but everybody's entitled to their opinion, right? And you want to listen to all opinions. Let's be very clear about that. Let's dispel that first myth. Number one, you don't, and this is, of course, contingent upon where you are psychologically. And this is not to be offensive or to alienate anyone, but we all know when we are under stress. We may not want to publicly acknowledge it or even acknowledge it amongst our friends and family, but we all internally know when we are under too much stress. In those instances, what I'm sharing with you is to not further stress yourself out by watching videos or watching content that makes you feel even worse about yourself. So, for instance, if let's say you're struggling with insecurities and maybe with your hair, and we're going to talk about stuff like that even in this format because that's love too. That's loving yourself. That's the highest form of love, aside from the godly love, if you will, or the love that supersedes all, which is that innate love, if you will. Um, and so it's not a good idea for you to watch a whole bunch of self help videos or videos where people have it all together if that would further stress you out. Equally, you don't need to watch videos by men. Okay, so if you're having a lot of issues with your relationships and you have decided, okay, let me take a break, maybe it is me. That's what you're thinking to yourself. Maybe it is me, and even if it's not, let me do some introspective work. And then you go out there and you're watching videos by men because you're like, well, maybe I need to understand the male psyche better. And there's no problem with that. There's no problem with that on the surface. And but when you start to watch these men, a lot of these men, I'm noticing quite a few seem to have really good intentions. But what you're not understanding is that what they're doing effectually is trying to tell you, woman, how to be what a man wants. And you must come with me into the realm of common sense and enlightenment. You must immediately see how damn ridiculous that is. Because as I continue to watch these videos by men who seem to have good intentions, and I'm going to let me give you some examples. You start to realize that, well, damn, like, but who made him, in charge of deciding how a woman is supposed to act? What's that about? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's that about? All right, let's go to, should be on mine. Let's see, Tigress around. Let's go over here. Give me a second, I'm switching over. Okay. And you're going to see them in my feed. So this is I guess he pronounced it the Shumaki way. Let's skip over this ad. Some of you may be watching him. Okay. Okay, so generally, again, this gentleman raises some really valid points. valid points. However, there are several of his videos where you start, and this is the point that I'm trying to make to you. Hold on, let me show you a few more. This Kev Hicks. This is the one that I really want you to watch out for. This is he presents a lot of concerns. And yes, he's got 58,000 people watching, and I have 2 right now. But keep in mind that I've just started, and I want you all to, oh boy, I don't want you to necessarily stop watching these individuals. I need you to understand that as well. Because, and this is the point that I was making a second ago, trying to, link it all up for you all. All information is important, but not all information is relevant. Think of it in the same way if you've ever seen, and I'm going to stop sharing for just 1 second, because there's another guy. Let me go and show you this other guy as well. He's in my research as well. Hold on. Yeah, this one. Stefan Speaks. Okay. These are things, even with his opening, he should be worried about losing you. Yet in another video, he and Kev Hick, they speak ad infinitum about making sure that your woman is secure and making sure your man is secure. Well, how is it that they're going to be secure if they're worried about losing you? That's a contradiction in the psychological academia behind it all. And it effectively still boils down to mind games and not having good communication skills and not being emotionally intelligent, even though these two, one of them, Kev Hicks, who's especially young, and I'm not saying that you can't be emotionally intelligent at his age, and I don't know his exact age, but based on the things that he's saying, I'm gathering that he's definitely under 30. I'm gathering that he may be 27 or something to that effect. And again, I'm not trying to be rude. Please understand that if we're going to grow, we're going to have to accept certain things about ourselves. I had to do the same. And this, like I told you before in my tweets, don't call me auntie because I'm not your aunt. I'm of Haitian and Native American descent. We don't subscribe to that auntie bullshit that I view as completely minstrel. It is completely disrespectful, especially in my family, especially in my core family. I'm trying to tell you, friends, we don't do it. Now, I don't know if it's the New York in me. I don't know. I don't know if it's the Haitian in me, the Native. I don't know, the Native American, the Afro Native American, the Darlington, South Carolina. I don't know, but the people that the mix that I got was people that knew who they were, still know who they are, even in the midst of segregation. Because of course, you would imagine my mom's 70, I'm 44, so she grew up in a time where there were still black and white water fountains and black and white movie theaters and the the black section of the diner and the whites only section of the theater, all that, right? And this is a person who still, and I mean rich-skinned, beautifully rich-skinned woman, excuse me, and still knew boom, boom, and boom, bam, I am and you shall respect that I am. Okay. So the point I'm making is that evidently being raised in an environment of resolved and free, it has had a really positive impact on me. And I understand that we all don't have that same upbringing. And so our environmental factors, and let me also signify just real quick. So, because I'm jumping around a bit, because there's so much to cover. So much. Oh my gosh, so much to cover. Let me unshare for just a second. Okay. And then we'll go to Twitter too. Again, if you have any questions, let me look and see here. Let me look and see. Then this is the time to do it. This is the time. Okay, still no questions, but all right. Feel free to ask questions. Don't let this session go by. But there will be more sessions. I know you, again, you got to get comfortable with me. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. Okay. All right. So let me signify. Some of the people that you are following right now are just giving you regular ass advice, and there's nothing necessarily completely wrong with regular ass advice, because there are when you've lived and you've experienced a thing, you can speak on a thing. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. However, there is something wrong with it when we're talking about how we relate to one another. And how we relate to one another effectually is a science. Okay. And it you can't separate psychology from how we interact with one another. You can't separate behavioral psychology. You can't separate the environmental factors that are under that field of study for behavioral psychology. And I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a licensed therapist. But what I am is a scientist who actually has a degree in education. And the core to all of my academia, my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and my soon to be PhD degree. I'm a PhD candidate now in energy and environmental systems and economics, with concentration, well, not even concentration at this point, with the expertise in wetland bioremediation and phytoremediation and andragogy. Andragogy is adult education. So the irony is that since 17, I have been studying adult education. Why adult education in my field? Why specifically? Some of you are going to already be aware of this. Well, cooperative extension is, when you boil it down, it is adult education. You are teaching generally farmers, you're sharing, and what it's really viewed as is more like continuing education. We share our science, that hardcore science, with generational farmers. Now it's beautiful. More and more farmers' children have gone on to study science in an academic institution so that they can lend that directly. So it's like in-house. They have an in-house scientist for their family farms. And that's beautiful. So think about it in the same regard as adult education. So you need someone to kind of guide you through the process, that's already been there, done that. Otherwise, you just kind of bump your head against the wall and feel your way through life, and you make all these mistakes. And yes, you can learn. You can learn and fail forward. You can do that on your own. But I'm here to share with you that there's no law that says that you have to make 22 mistakes in order to be successful in life. There's no law that says that. But some of you are still believing coaches and consultants and love doctors and self-professed life coaches who have a minimal certification. I have the equivalent of um, uh, academic coursework that qualifies me as a behavioral specialist, or a behavioral psychologist, if you will, or excuse me, behavioral therapist. Let me clarify that. So I don't want the psychologists coming for me, because I respect them immensely, immensely. And I even thought about going that route. But I wanted to really, really focus on the science. That's my contribution to this world, aside from other things. But the point I'm making here is that you need to speak with someone who's actually interacted with people. on a regular basis, and not just talking about their experiences from inside their head, or just the experiences they have with just their friends. And now they have moved upon it because maybe their friend was like, yo, you give me good advice. You should start your own YouTube channel and give people advice. Because, yo, you got it right. Because you got married and you found the love of your life. And so you got married and you had some children and you've been through a couple of things. So now do that. Do that. Go and tell everybody about how they need to be, well, more specifically, in the case of Kevin Hitt, you should go out and tell everybody now that you young, but you mature and got married and got your children, got your family unit. Now you should take this show on the road and tell all women how they can get their husband and have their life together. Let me take a bite of my damn pecan bread. Okay. All right. That's good. Okay. So again, whereas some of the information is going to be relevant, it's mostly just going to be important for you to know from the series of G.I. Joe, if any of you are familiar with it. And now even the millennials are looking up our old school cartoons and all that kind of stuff. Look it up. The G.I. Joe mantra is knowing is half the battle. So even I watch these shows to find out exactly why is this 25-year-old man approaching me in the mall today. I watch 25-year-old and 27-year-old YouTubers. You get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying, friends? I watch all these things so that I am aware of what is going on in the world. That's what you need to do. It doesn't mean that you need to become the world. And that's actually, some Christian teaching, and it's relevant. Not all of it's important, but it's well, excuse me, I switched it up. It's important, not all of it is irrelevant, but it is important that you know these things, because knowing is half the battle. You need to know what your enemy is doing, and no, men are not our enemy. My goodness. I have promoted over and over again that I have a profound appreciation and love for men generally, of all ethnicities, because they are human. Okay. Now, yes, we're going to talk about the ethnicities and interracial dating and all that, but we're not going to get into that in this particular feed. So this is what I wanted to first tell you in this first live on love. And that's what we're going to call it. Live on love with Tigress is a verb. It's going to be under the C Tigress Love playlist. And then you can watch them at your convenience. And we can go from there. All right. So I actually have substantial academia and experience with working with adults. And I have run my own mentorship programs, and I have qualified as a mentor for youth, teenagers, which is still considered youth, but youth, teenagers, and adults. And I have primarily worked in the capacity for youth women mentorship or youth ladies mentorship. And I've been doing this for, good gracious, since I was 16 years old. I am 44, okay? So not only do I have the academia, so that, because we need to be responsible with the stuff that we put out into the world, the things that we say, the advice that we give. And going through an academic program, because I know there's too much that's going on right now where there's a misconception that You don't need a degree to have an understanding and be an expert on love. Um, uh, you do. You do. Not so much as the degree, because you all harp on that part, and you feel that, okay, well, you don't like the that comes with the academic institution. I don't either. I don't like the that comes with it either. I don't like the sexism. I don't like the racism. I don't like any of that stuff. But the coursework itself, it is relevant to having an understanding of how the human mind works and how each individual's human mind works based on their environmental factors. This is another reason why I said that not all, and let me bring that up really quickly. Let's go back. All right, so we're going to pull up. Oh, sorry, my bad. That was me. Did I get the right? I think I need to just pull up a. Give me 1 second, y'all. There we go. My bad. My bad. My bad. Okay, so let's go to Twitter. The young lady had made a comment that the young lady made a comment that all Capricorns are, pleasant and loving or something to that effect. And I said, no. There are creeps in every zodiac sign. Reason being is because, yes, where I recognize and scientists tend to recognize and psychologists tend to minimally, we all tend to minimally recognize the impact of the zodiac astrology on our psychology, the male psyche, the woman psyche. However, important those things may be, what is more important are your environmental factors. So I'm a Sagittarius, and some of you may cringe when you hear that because you'll be like, well, the stereotypes about Sagittarius is that we are mean, that we are cocky, that we are selfish, that we are nomadic, if you will. We're kind of free spirits and flighty. And where some of those may have some application, most of us are like that at any given period of our life. And there are environmental factors that will change and impact who a person develops into. Now, yes, they say that because there are studies that show that your personality, the basis for your personality is is already kind of in you genetically when you're born. But then again, you talk about genetically, because then there's a specification on, especially for astrology, what end of the spectrum you are born. Are you on the cusp of Capricorn, Sagittarius? Are you on the cusp of Gemini, Leo? All those type of things matter. So you can't just say, generally speaking, all Capricorns are really nice. I would like to co-sign that possibly, but that's not true. I know Capricorns who are very, very temperamental, and I know Capricorns who are very, very loving and nice. I also know that to be the case with Leos and just every sign under the spectrum. Let me pull up where I was tweeting so we can pull up. And if you're not following me, please do on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere. All right, so I'm just going to pull up my replies because then we'll pull up exactly what we were all talking about. And I guess I'll go live until noon today just to make sure that everything is kind of expressed that needs to be expressed for this first video. So this is what really inspired me to just go ahead and say, you know what? You can stop researching, Tigress. Not that I'm going to stop researching altogether, but you can go ahead and jump into the World Wide Web and go ahead and start these discussions and dispelling the myths and the misconceptions and the lies, like obliterating the lies as it relates to, love. All right. Okay. So Tatiana Monet, who seems to be a very wise young lady, very, very wise. She posted on March 9th, I stopped talking to this dude because I felt like he was trying to cuff me, to use me as free labor for his business. Parenthetically, combos were just him asking for professional advice. Couple months later, he posted his new girl mopping the floors of the business with the caption, all I ever wanted, dead emoji. And I liked it. She didn't expect it to go viral. She got 159,000 likes, and I am one of the individuals who liked the post. And I said, let me go to, because we have to start from the beginning. Because it was a wonderful conversation that was going on. And I really, really appreciate that. Let's see. So when I first chimed in, let me see, make sure. I didn't really have anything to say to her because I agree with everything she said. But then as I looked down into the comments, I realized, well, damn, some people really, they really not getting it. Okay. One person said, bam, she said, well, he found his dummy, sis. And I said, yo, you know what? That's accurate too. I like that. But here is the flip side to this coin. And what I'm getting at is there's a flip side to every coin. There's always many perspectives to one specific matter. And that's what I want to inspire you as far as your growth and evolution of your mind in how you perceive the world on the subject matter of love and interactions with one another, whether you are whether you prefer same gender or whether you're hetero, whether you're bisexual, bicurious, any of those things, just our interactions with one another. It is relevant that you must accept the expressed truth that there are many perceptions of a one thing. Once you get that, that's the equivalent of that G.I. Joe mantra, knowing is half the battle. You're still not going to get it 100% correct because just as the mantra suggests, it's only half the battle. The other half can be these environmental factors that I was telling you about. So yeah, maybe it's important to know that I'm a Sagittarius. Maybe I will have some Sagittarius-like traits. But it's also important to know that I was raised by a Gemini and a Scorpio. Then some of you may be like very scared by that. Oh my God, a Sagittarius raised by a Gemini and a Scorpio. But then you must understand the heart of those individuals and their upbringing. And that they were just not, like chaotic over here for Gemini and mean and, and temperamental over here for Scorpio. There's more to it. Even though the traits still are important, they're not relevant in every regard because they had experiences in their life, which is the equivalent of environmental factors. So environmental factors can be how you were raised, whether you had a two parent household. And I'm not saying that it is necessary to be a good person to have a two-person household. That wasn't the case for me. They divorced. My mom primarily raised me, and she did a hell of a job, a wonderful job. And she was set out to be sure that I did not feel some way underprivileged or lacking because my father was not actively in the picture in our household. He was, I would say, minimally active on the outside of my household. And still yet, he infused so much in important advice. I feel very strongly. I say this to my mom all the time. I feel that he was so embarrassed by his role in their divorce and embarrassed by not being the man that he always told me men should be, that he made it a point to infuse all the good teachings that he could from the outside. But he didn't want to mess up, quote unquote, our stability, if you will, going forward. So nonetheless, she says, well, he found his dummy, sis, right? Okay. And my response was, and this is exactly what I mean by knowing is only half the battle. Perceptions are near endless based on people's experiences, based on how their psyche works, based on their environmental factors, which can be experiences, which can be how they were raised, which can be what, like maybe they had 10 bad experiences with men versus another person over here who's had 10 great experiences with men. How they roll, how they respond to things may be a very different thing. And I said, this is my response to he found his dummy, sis. Okay. Best lesson from my mom. You don't ever know what's going on in another's household, even if they appear Gucci on the gram. I paraphrase, and editorialize the last part. And I said, maybe she found her dummy or she found hers. You see what I mean? Some women will play the role to destroy a man. They'll mop a floor. You mean all I got to do is mop this nigga's dumbass floor? All I got to do for this dumbass nigga, and I'm talking from their mindset because I don't believe in calling men niggas. Excuse me. But they will say, you mean all I got to do for this dumbass is mop his floors and let him take a picture of me on the gram, put it on the gram? My closest friends know exactly what I'm doing. He's a bitch. They play a whole ass role. Women play a whole ass role. Men play a whole ass role. People do people things. It doesn't matter what their zodiac sign is. Please understand that. It doesn't matter their gender. People do people things, period. And I said, some people will play the role to destroy a man for shits and giggles or in the revenge in the name of womanhood. Like there are people out there that are super, super, super duper sugary sweet nice. And they haven't had any issues with men mainly. But when they see their friend get hurt by a man, they say, you know what, I'm gonna get that bitch. I'm gonna get that Mitch. They won't even tell their friend. I know people like this. They won't even tell their friend what they're going to do to that guy. And it's often, and we've seen movies like this too. Often the friend doesn't even know, like the friend has never introduced the friend who's about to check his ass to the boyfriend or the ex-boyfriend. And instead, she takes that as a complete opportunity. He don't know me. He don't know what I look like. He don't know nothing about me. So she goes and she destroys this man. She, seduces him, or she finds somebody willing to do so. We've seen movies like this. I've seen it in real life. Just to get him back out of revenge for their good girlfriend. And they do it for their own agenda. Maybe they have money. Think about, you've seen movies like that as well. And I'm only referencing movies because I want you to understand that movies generally have truth in their plots. And they're normally based in, even if it's in part, on real life experiences. Maybe not the writer's experience, but things that they've seen in their family's life or that they've seen on TV, and they've pieced all these stories together. So there's truth in every story, is what the point I'm making. They may have their own agenda, and they may just, look at the people who are so successful at getting married over and over and over again. What do you think? Come on. That shows you a pattern of manipulation. They know what they're doing. They know how to get the ring. It is an intentional effort. And they break them men down. And there are men who do the same thing. They are recidivists, if you will, with relationship after relationship. And they come in to steal, kill, and destroy. So it is a psyche. It is not about just gender. It is not about just sexual preference. Understand that there are those who are in the LGBT community. There are transgender men, transgender women who are evil to the people that they're in relationships with. And there are those who are beautiful. And they have loving, long-lasting, seriously healthy relationships with the people that they're in a relationship. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter whether you're male or female. We do it to each other. And it is generally driven by psychology. And some of you are going to be like, well, what do you mean? Because I'm not getting it. We got to dive into this more. We can't get into all of it today. And you're going to have to join me. You're going to have to ask me questions so that we can actually really dissect this and really just rid of all the information or the misinformation, the disinformation that does not help us build and restore our relationships with one another. And I'm hopeful that this will help us even with our friendships. It should inherently help with our friendships, our relationships professionally and otherwise, just how we interact with people, period. Okay. Let's see. I also said this, and people were not sure. I was so concerned. I was very, very concerned. So I responded to this. Okay. One guy said, because I responded to something and I said, let me see, where is it? Here we go. Uh-oh. Okay, here we go. Let me just pull up this tweet because I said something to his tweet. Oh, okay. And I'm so glad she responded. This was so important. I said, I responded to, again, the first young lady. She said, I agree. Not all men are the same because they grow up in different countries and cultures. Their misogynistic behavior is different, but they all have one thing in common, the audacity. And I'm going to like that right now live. I like that. Okay. And I think I was just so eager just to respond. I didn't dislike it. So let's be clear about that. And I said, this is where the misogyny easily inserts itself, when you over justify their behavior. My dad traveled countries in the military, And he assured me that, and states, okay, because there's culture and there's subculture, okay? He assured me that all men from all cultures know how to respect a woman. So if they don't respect you, it's intentional. One more time. So if they don't respect you, then it's intentional. And actually, that's what I put. Where's because there's, well, let me go to this one first because this is important, and then we're going to talk about um how someone is, how you should view them to have respect for you. How can you tell if someone respects you? I hate to be the bearer of serious ass realism, but the way that you can tell that somebody respects you, my dear, my male dear, my female dear, is if they respect you, if they actually, in by their actions, show you respectful behavior. It's that easy. It is. Okay. So this guy joins in and he says, all cultures do not respect women. I said, well, okay, let me go and get in here. Let me get in here. He was like, do you know do you know how women are treated in Muslim societies? I don't think they're very respected there. And in some African countries, they cut women's clits off. Yeah, let's go back to what I said. My dad traveled countries in the military, and he assured me that all men from all cultures know how to respect a woman. So if they don't respect you, it's intentional. So at no time did I disagree. Yes, there are disrespectful ass men, there are disrespectful ass men, women in every culture, every subculture, every subculture. Okay. I said, yes, even though it's hard to believe, men of every culture, country know how to respect women because think about it, every culture has its defiant women. And I don't view them as defiant, but I put it in quotation marks because those countries or those pockets of places that have a social norm that is disrespectful to women, they generally, of course, would consider a woman who demands respect to be defiant, right? But of course, she's not defiant. She's got common sense. It's just commonsensical. Okay. So every culture has its defiant women who demand respect. And most of those women, ironically enough, go figure, they're in loving marriages and relationships. It's just not front page news for obvious reasons. Now, unfortunately, there are women, and shout out to those women. Thank you so much for elevating the consciousness of mankind in general and elevating women's rights and equity, because there have been women who have lost their lives for fighting for women's rights. And I just want to show great appreciation for their legacy and everything that they've done. I'm very thankful for the women in my life who stood against very firmly, and even at the risk of being ostracized, even by their good girlfriends who were zombies, to this male dominated society. And I'm very thankful to the women who were important in my life and showed me by their actions, not only their words, how to be a confident, not only Black woman, but a confident woman in general, and to demand my deserved respect. And I don't have to dumb down being a lady to do so. I don't have to dumb down my intelligence to do so. I don't have to I don't have to conduct myself as bitter to get the respect that I deserve. And those are the things that I'm hoping to inspire you with through this, through sharing what I've learned, from them and in my life experiences and how I've engaged my professional careers. I was very well respected in the Park Service. It was a very interesting experience because it went against all norms. And so keep this in mind too, because I do not want to give the impression that somehow I got everything right and therefore that's why they treated me respectfully. Please understand this. I'm gonna get it all up in. I'm gonna unshare real quick just to get up all up in your face and say it real quick. Okay, how about this, friends? I don't give a shit what they do behind the scenes, but you're gonna watch your motherfucking mouth when you're in my presence. You see what I'm saying? So they may cuss my beautiful black ass out on a regular basis behind the scenes, but you know what they doing it? Hey, you know what they doing it? They doing it behind the motherfucking scenes. They not doing it in the public office space. And they're not even doing it. They're what I'm getting at is they're not even doing it in the comfort of their motherfucking offices. Where they're going to do it, if it did occur, the disrespect is in. They gonna go into the roaches corner. Yeah, take your roach ass, disrespectful, misogynistic ass into the roach motel where that shit belongs. That disrespectful mentality belongs. But you're not going to do it here. You're not going to encroach upon my rights in my face. No, friend. You're going to have to do that in hiding. That's where we need to be as a collective. That's one of the biggest failures that we have as a unified body for Black America. If we were to stand on our respect, collectively unified, not divided, not, and I don't mean a piece divided, not a subculture, not oh well, the LGBT community wants to be over here. No, we need everybody stand it right here together. Say what the fuck did you say? You didn't say that motherfucking shit in my face. You see how my lips just went away? Say that shit again. Not in my motherfucking face. You won't say it. If we had that type of unity, which I am so doe-eyed hopeful for, because we deserve our empowerment. We deserve liberation from all of this nonsense, and we deserve it collectively together to embrace and like stand in the middle of the street all together and just scream to the top of our lungs. And so do women in that same regard, that same liberation. We are not men's toys. We're not their Barbies. We're not their step and fetch. We are not beneath them. We are not some biblical, mindless dummy running behind them just to bear their children and produce their seed for their legacy. All of that is a huge misconception, and it is fueled by the misogynistic culture, even in religion. Please understand, if you this ain't gonna be. I'm not the sugarcoating type. I'm not the sugarcoating type. I wasn't raised. I'm not the sugarcoating type now. I don't subscribe if you. Hey. And yet here I am, and my relationships have consistently been positive and productive. Now, of course, I've had those one-off occasions. I've had 3 particular relationships that I'm going to share with you at some point during our conversations that have been the absolute worst relationships I've ever had. But my other relationships have been consistently positive interactions, even where they did not turn into marriage or marriage proposal or a long-term relationship. That's another myth. Stop measuring your worth on the basis of successful relationships. Sometimes the failure in a relationship ain't got shit to do with you. It got everything to do with them. Sometimes it does have something to do with you. And that's something that where you have to say, okay, I'm going to pull back. I'm going to be introspective. I'm going to grow from. But stop equating your self-worth to how long, how successful your relationships are, whether it ends in marriage. That is a huge myth as well. All right, let's go back to the Twitter one more time because I want to show the other one since no one's got any questions for me. I know how y'all roll initially. I've been watching all how y'all interact with everybody else's videos who are new YouTubers. So you gotta fill me out. Make sure I ain't cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Hold on one second. That's all right. That's all right. You could at least say, hey, like, damn. You can say, hi. You know what I mean? Hi. That's okay. All right. All right. Let's see here. Wait. Went the wrong way again. Yes, I did. I'm going to Twitter. Where's Twitter at? Right there. Twitter. There go Twitter. Tweet, tweet. All right. So, just going right here back to the dude. Well, I shouldn't say dude. Back to the gentleman who said, do you know how women are treated in Muslim societies? I don't think they're very respected there. And in some African countries, they cut women's cuts off. And I don't believe we're arguing. I'm a lover of conversation and dialogue. So it was great to just dialogue and respectfully so we could really just get to the meat and potatoes of stuff. It was such a wonderful conversation that that she unintentionally inspired. And mad praise to her for even being willing to expose that, transparently, because some people are more insecure about when they are rejected, even if they believe that the rejection was not due to any of their faults. They still are very reluctant to expose themselves online or allow for these type of conversations to happen. And if we don't have these conversations and get it out, then people are just kind of sitting in their silos trying to figure out, well, what's this? What does this mean? And what does this mean? And how does this go? So mad shout out to her for even posting it. And I'm so glad that it started the conversation. And I basically responded here, even in countries, communities where the norm is misogyny, there are men who defy the norm because they feel innately wrong for treating women wrongly. Because it's a commonsensical mindset. You've seen the studies where they've shown that you put children of different ethnicities who've not been exposed to any type of racial tension, right? And they immediately gravitate toward one another. They don't have, we're not born genetically with the, aversions to another race. Caucasian children are not born, they're not at 6 months thinking, oh, I can't wait to call African-American baby a racial slur. It doesn't exist like that. So innately, we see each other and we interact without any concern for our features, if you will, our characteristics that make us different from ethnicity to ethnicity. And I said, I not ever said women face disrespect all around the world. I said men do know how to respect women. When they don't do as they know, it's intentional. Okay. This young lady, I'm so glad I needed someone from the Muslim community to chime in. And I'm very thankful that she did. She's Hazel Brow XN. She said, hi, from Muslim community here. My dad knew how to respect my mother's opinions and choices, create comfortable arrangements for her against hostile in-laws. My husband humiliated me in public and often physically assaulted me. They know what they're doing. I'm not from the Muslim community. I've just had lots of experiences with the Muslim community and learning from my dad. So I learned it from my dad when I was younger. And then as I grew and because I've been raised to embrace everybody, that all people are my people. And still yet to be very proud to be Black. I'm very proud to be Cherokee, Afro Native American, where in the Black community growing up, especially for my age group, for Gen X, it was deemed in a negative light if you were to even acknowledge that you were Native American, because somehow, the privy of having good hair and all those kind of things. So it was a big dilemma, right? For most people. But for me, we were raised to be very proud of the diversity within our own, family and within ourselves. And I said, exactly. Thank you for sharing, because we women need to understand that they are cognitively aware of their conduct. Exceptions are near non-existent. They know. We have only a little more time, so I'm going to tell you why I am decidedly single. So we have that. And then I'm going to invite you to join me again. We'll go live again next week. I kind of like this format. If Sunday works for you, let me know. If you prefer another day, let me know. I am willing to accommodate as much as I can to go around my schedule. And much love to you all. I can't, it's going to be one of those things where I need to really answer a lot of your questions. I want you to come in. I don't want to just create random ass videos because I don't know what all you're dealing with. I want to answer your questions. You need to have your questions answered, especially women. You need to have your questions answered by women who possess the emotional intelligence, kind of like what Kevin Hicks is saying. But he can't speak on female emotional intelligence as a male. And the reason why I say this is because I've watched at least, he's got about 215 videos up. I've watched about 50. And I see a clear pattern that what he perceives as a successful marriage and his wife being secure, because he says it a lot. My wife is secure. My wife is secure. When someone said, we already know that, so I shouldn't have to repeat it. When someone has to constantly remind or constantly say, my wife is secure, my wife is secure. And he doesn't need to do that because he got a pretty good following. So he doesn't need to keep reminding you all that my wife is secure, my wife is secure. Okay, if she's secure, then she would, okay, what's going on here? Then you see, and I'll point this out in future videos because I'm going to dissect some of his videos in particular. And again, this is not to say that he does not have some relevant information. And remember, all of his information is important because you need to understand what's out there and how men are being advised by other men. Women, you equally need to see how, men, you also need to see how women are being advised by other women. Okay. And we need to get to the point where we have more trustworthy, we'll call them advisors or coaches, who are willing to share the aspect of marriage at an emotionally intelligent placement, women and men who are single and emotionally intelligent and decidedly so, those from the LGBT community and those respective uh, identities. We need to see that from those who are emotionally intelligent. Because what I am finding the recurring theme in Kev Hicks videos and in Stefan Speaks is that there is a lack, a detachment of emotional intelligence, and instead just the facade thereof. And it is more likely based on his own self-admitted stories that he's sharing with you about his interactions with his wife, that his wife is not secure. And we know that there's always going to be problems in every relationship because understanding another person is an ongoing process. It doesn't end. So everybody that keeps thinking, "Oh, it's going to get better. We're going to curb all disagreements." That's a lie. So that is not to be achieved because we are all still walking through this world. And I like to liken it to the movie Crash. If you not see the movie, it's got Ludacris in it and some other great people. It is what it is. I just remember Ludacris being in and actually doing a pretty good job with his acting. But the content and the takeaway lessons from the movie were profound because it shows you just how powerful perception can be, how distorted it can be, how positive it can be, both negative and positive. And how you must understand that everybody is going through their own separate walk in life. No matter if you're in a loving relationship, you both leave out that house for the day or one person stays home and you begin throughout that day, you have separate experiences. And those separate experiences determine how you then interact with one another and how you interact with the world around you. You're not living the exact same life. You're not, and therefore, there will always be these opportunities for disconnection, misunderstandings. So, the primary goal that we have to get digested is that emotional intelligence encompasses a calibration system, a self-check system. We're not going to be able to always curb a fight because even if you self-check and you calibrate quickly, and you know calibration is when you balance something. So even when you say, "Oh, let me balance this out. Let me not further make this situation worse by saying the things that I know I can say or doing the things I know I have freedom to do. Let me be considerate. Let me try." The other person may not be where you're at that day. Now, they may be able to be exceptionally emotionally intelligent the next day. But on that particular day, depending on what they've crashed into throughout the day, they may have, what do we say, that one last nerve. And boom, that's it. So I'm going to end this video with why I am decidedly single. And I'm hoping that this video, at the least, has given you some insight as to why I believe that I can lend positive information and inspiration to those of us who want valid information on love and relationships. Okay. And I do invite anyone who would like to join my live broadcast. If you'd like to be a guest, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm not going to be out here arguing and acting a monkey because that's not how I roll. But if you have a counter viewpoint, we can intelligently and respectfully, and even I still am a big fan of get it out how you must say it. I don't. So if you don't like, how do I want to say this? You needn't be eloquent to be a guest on my live feed. So please don't think that. You don't need that. You needn't be a behavioral psychologist, even though that would be wonderful. I'm going to search out these individuals and we're going to have these conversations, okay? But you don't need to be following necessarily a B. Simone or a Saweetie on their guide to love. Think about it. Come on, friends. You're looking at how they roll. They telling you how they roll, and that's what you want. That's what you want out of life. That's what you want. Okay. That's a very misogynistic realm. The hip hop world is a very misogynistic realm. So just keep that in mind. Okay. And I love some hip hop. I own a label, Eargasm Records. Go check it out. Okay. So here we go. Why I'm decidedly single. In the last 2.5 years, I have intentionally, in most of the cases, lovingly, because one particular situation, well, actually two, they went so left that I couldn't infuse the situation with maturity enough to make the end of the relationship a positive. Because that's always my goal. If I'm going to move on, it needs to be a positive approach. That's another thing. Sometimes we continue in relationships even past the point where we realize we're just not on the same page. You need to stop doing that. Okay. Because it's not helpful. It's not psychologically healthy for either one of you. This is when situations like physical and verbal abuse and cheating will come into play, because when someone is in a relationship and they're unhappy, we know that they're going to look for that emotional connection elsewhere. If they're not happy emotionally, they're going to look for the sexual connection elsewhere if they're not sexually happy. Now, this is not the case. Remember, there's a flip side to every coin. Some of these individuals are going to try to re-engage their partner emotionally, even to their own fault. Or they're going to try to engage their partner sexually, re-engage them sexually if they're not happy. But there's going to become a point where the disconnection, if their partner is not responsive to their intentional, let's re-engage, let's get our love back together, then they're going to, there are many instances, many studies that have shown that they will become verbally abusive. And that verbal abuse can be an active or passive type of behavior. It can be a complete drawing away, a complete disconnect. It can be passive aggressive, which is somewhere in the middle, right? But it's still that's still verbal abuse. Or it can be completely aggressive. And the same thing with physical. It can be, okay, well, I'm just going to completely disconnect. I'm not going to touch you. I'm not going to try to kiss you. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. And I'm hoping that you're going to break up with me. Some people do it that way. That's also the passive aggressive, right? Or it becomes completely physically aggressive. In those two situations in particular that were, I was not able to make a positive out of a negative situation. I learned more about myself during this time. This is another very, very important thing to understand going forward. Ladies, men, please understand that people are who they want to be to you at different periods of their life. People choose who they want to be to each person with whom they interact. This is important to understand so that you stop blaming yourself or equating your self-worth on the basis of how someone interacts with you. Because they always tell you, well, you attract, what you are. No, that's not always the case. It just isn't. And it can be very confusing if you're walking around here believing that. Some of you have been but I'm not this person. I'm trying to figure this out. I've pulled back and I've tried to really introspectively figure out, how am I still attracting abusive people? I'm not timid. I'm a great example in that regard. Because I have learned to be humble, and while I'm out and about, and because of my humility, even though most people would perceive me and put me in the block of, well, you have every right to be cocky. Yes, I know. And that's where the power is, to be humble. But being humble, then, that specifically, it's not my whole personality, right? I mean, it is, but you see what I'm saying? So when a wolf sees a sheep, they're looking outwardly, but there have been some wonderful examples, even in the animal kingdom, where I saw it on YouTube, as a matter of fact, or I also have seen them because I watch a lot of the History Channel, watch a lot of, as you can imagine, scientific based programs, Netflix documentaries, all kind of stuff. There's one documentary right now that's showing how the animals who are stereotypically put in the category as prey are fighting back, and even successfully, against those animals who are put in the category of stereotypically predators. So this is a wonderful example here. Comparison. Same way with predatory men or predatory women. They're looking for specific characteristics, but this may not be your whole self. We know that. When you're walking around, when I'm going to the grocery store, you don't see my whole self. I don't reveal my entire personality. Not the dynamism of ourselves. I'm just going out. So they're looking for those very specific signifiers that say, oh, maybe I can do this with that person. Do you understand? I hope you're getting this. So it doesn't mean that you need to check yourself and say, oh, man, I must be insecure and humble. Hell no, the hell I ain't no damn insecure. But when someone sees that I have, because it's been an intentional effort to be humble. I not ever wanted to be one of those individuals that had all this, these letters behind their name and had all these accolades and, had all this status and had done all this and da 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 da, and was walking around with, with my nose up in the air and acting like an asshole 24/7. I didn't want to be that person. So I intentionally, took self-inventory on a regular basis. But if you were to approach me initially, it can be deceiving for some of you. So you'll be like, oh yeah, I can get over on this bitch. And you better stop. Because like I said, we go back to that tweet. The initial tweet from Tatiana was that dude posted his new girl mopping the floors on Instagram or on social media with the hashtag all I ever wanted. And I said, wait, and one person said, well, sis, he found his dummy. And I said, now hold on, friends. Maybe sis, maybe she found hers. Maybe she found her dummy. You see my point? Some of us have gotten so good that we can walk around in the world and we can project intentionally certain personality characteristics, of course, the facade of it, or project certain parts of ourselves to catch the prey. So they assume the prey characteristics, but they really are predators, and vice versa. Got it? So this is why I am decidedly single, because I've noticed that there are a lot of people who have amounted information, especially, you know, in this information age. So a lot of people are watching various videos. And the same way, here's an example, the same way that there is a, let's say there's a gun video out, right? And it's showing you how to break down a gun, to take it apart, right? Disassemble it, and then reassemble it. And it's teaching you how to add a silencer to the gun. Some of you are like, okay, oh, some people are watching this. I always say there's always an alternative universe, if you will. Some people are watching this video and saying, oh, this is interesting. I really have an appreciation for guns. And I want to see how to use this for the safety of my family and friends. And in general, you know, like, okay, then on the other side of town, or maybe even next door, maybe in the house next door to your ass, there's another person who's watching this very same video. And instead, it's for the purpose of planning a mass shooting. Do you understand what I'm saying? No, not right now. Not right now. Hold on 1 second, because I'm ending the video. I'll be available in just 1 second. And this is why this is important. You must understand. Because these perceptions, if we hold tight to one part of the perception too much and not consider the flip sides of the coin, then we have completely compromised even our own strategies at building better relationships. And because of that, this is my concern. No, I just, let me finish. Got it. Let me finish. Okay. And of course, if you watch this video from the beginning, you know that's my son. And that's another thing. We're going to go over that too. I'm raising him to be free, but not disrespectful. So some of you may be looking at this and you have been raised with antiquated views of parenthood. So you're thinking, oh, how dare he interrupt my show? How dare he interrupt her show? She should gut check his ass. No, I don't work like that. Okay. No, I don't work like that. I want to raise a healthy mindset. I don't want him to be, I don't want him to have an inferiority complex, nor do I want him to have a superiority complex. I want him to be somewhere here, even keel in the middle, right? Well calibrated. Okay. So even if he needs to respectfully interject, then of course he's allowed to do so. Okay. All right. So, but this is why I have decided to pull back and really monitor what's going on, because dating has changed. And I'm well calibrated and it generally emotionally intelligent, but there are too many men who are out there who are not. And they've learned how to mask their predatory characteristics initially to interact with women like myself. Do you understand what I'm saying? So because things have changed in this dating world, I now need to reevaluate what's going on and really kind of do my homework and understand what's out there and understand how people are rolling right now and really take some inventory. And it's also a good time because I'm finishing up my, my doctoral level programs. So it's important that I really concentrate on those things as well. Not to say that I can't do both, because I can. I've obviously already done it. I was in a relationship for almost 2 years, and it did not hinder in one way, shape, or fashion my excellence in my PhD program. It didn't keep me from my PhD candidacy. Actually, it had no impact on my PhD program at all, because I don't necessarily. Also, that's another thing I wish to share with you. I didn't dump my PhD problems or my PhD growth or my PhD obstacles or my PhD achievements, if you will, in the lap of the man I was dating. Only minimally would I, share certain things. And it's not so much as that I was intending not to reveal it, but it was mine. My PhD program was mine. And I had no expectation, unrealistic expectation for him to somehow be my support system through it. Because sometimes we require too much of people. Way too much of people. And even though he was willing and supportive just generally, he also had his life process. We fail to, sometimes we just want to pull people into our, into our stuff and have them be our support system, but we're not theirs. So if there's true balance, then there's no way for him to kind of be my support system through the PhD program 100%, and then me be 100% his support system through the things that he, like his business that he was building. We found the balance to be supportive to one another without dumping the responsibility of either of our personal interests on one another. So nonetheless, that's why I am decidedly single right now. Okay. And decidedly, because each one of these relationships that I've had, I ended, not the man. And that's not to say that I'm touting that. I'm sharing that for women who need to hear that from another woman who, in a healthy fashion, decidedly ended relationships and decidedly did it in a positive, healthy manner, and is now decidedly single. All right, so I've gone over. I hope that I've given you a whole bunch of goodies. And I hope that you will join me again. Let's see. I hope that you will join me again on my live on love here at my Tigress is a Verb channel. Please subscribe, please share, please like the video. If you're interested in being a guest, please send me an email at tigressisaverb@gmail.com and let's chop it up. Let me know what you'd like to hear about, specific subject matter, so I can know how to tailor the live vids. Normally, we're only going to go live 1 hour, but I wanted to just make sure that I had given you all the kind of things that I had spoken about on Twitter initially, and now we can really dive in. And there's a lot that we need to cover, folks. There's a lot. So have a wonderful Sunday. Get out and enjoy yourself. Take a walk. And just do something beautiful for yourself today. And doing something beautiful for yourself means that you're not going to do it to someone else's detriment, right? So be kind to humankind, because that's kind.